And Tesla shares are up about 107% so far this year. Kev, Dan Ives, the Uber bull that we have on the network occasionally, put a price target of 350 on this from 310, says it can get to $1 trillion market cap in 2024. He's still bullish, but he's always bullish on Tesla.
It's the question is for Tesla this year, and it's one of the Magnificent Seven. It's one of the charter members, so it's in the play with all these other names. But what's the demand for EVs going to be, right?
Quasi-infinite. The question isn't about demand, but affordability. Very important caveat. If you watch regularly, you'll have seen a lot of coverage over this, in particular consumer surveys. As I record this, roughly 2/3 of people globally intend on purchasing an electric vehicle within the next 5 years. And that number is only going to climb over time as more people become aware of the benefits and perks of owning electric vehicles at the same time. The features, performance, functionality, and capabilities of electric vehicles increase as prices trend lower. That 2/3 is going to become 3/4, it's going to become 80+%, 90%, and suddenly the internal combustion engine vehicle dies. Now it's true right now, due to sky-high interest rates and economic uncertainty, a lot of people who want an EV, who intend on purchasing an EV, are delaying that purchase decision. But that doesn't mean that the demand has gone away. It just means that their purchase has been delayed. This is a very important distinction. Reports of a slowdown in EV demand are not only greatly exaggerated, but utterly false. Of course, I can't prove this, but this video will still be online in the future when suddenly out of absolutely nowhere, electric vehicle sales as a percentage of all new vehicle sales have increased by single and double-digit percentages in just about every region on Earth, quarter after quarter, year after year, until suddenly 80+% of all new vehicles sold are electric before the end of this decade. It still baffles the mind today, at the end of 2023, that there's any questions at all regarding electric vehicle demand. Next, we're going to hear that the internet is a fad. Oh wait, we already heard that from a few experts back in the day.
Is it going to be enough? He's going to be the leader in EVs.
Right.
Is it going to be enough where he can get margins to go back up? Because, he's made his play to get market share. He's done damage. Remember, you're starting to see some mea culpas from some of the leading car companies, like pushing back.
Ford was one. They're pushing back production.
Switching to hybrids instead of pure EVs.
Yeah.
They're doing other things. So, but, what's the self-driving software going to be? Remember, that's $12,000 a car for self-driving, and people are paying it. So I think the problems are valuations. Does he continue to lower prices? They don't like that in the stock.
Right.
So you got to see some numbers. If the numbers show up in sales, then these price cuts and the competitive advantage he has will start showing up.
Yeah, his margins have come down, but as I mentioned, they're still above the others like Ford, GM. In this space, Joe. But Kevin brings up a good point. Is this all going to be about the consumer still wanting electric cars at this point? Or, are they going to run out of money where they actually can't buy new cars? Is that going to be maybe a theme in 2024? Your thoughts here, Joe?
I mean, that's a theme in 2024 for all the durable goods, right? I mean, the last print looked good today, but, it's something we have to kind of keep an eye on going forward. So, yeah, it's a story for Tesla, but it's a story for all the automakers. The only difference is Tesla gets a monster multiple where the other ones don't. I mean, that's the bottom line, right? Because of their first mover multiple that they get. It's going to be an interesting story. Dan Ives, as you mentioned, his call for the upside. I think it really comes down to the health of the consumer, because I do believe that there is still demand for the EV products, and a lot of it's going to come down to the demand in China. And
interesting, he talks about the health of the consumer in terms of sentiment. Totally agree, and he also believes that there is actually demand for electric vehicles. Also agree.
And how much of the recession that we saw in China, that kind of deep recession, are we on our way out of it? Right now, Tesla's already starting to raise prices in China, and they've seen some steady demand in this region. I think that they've kind of taken the steps that they needed to kind of squash competition here with the price cuts. And, now we got in an area where you talked about those margins, right? Gross margins, they did decline from 27% in June 22 down to 19% in October of this year. So, they pushed them down, they squeezed out competition, and can they stabilize prices at these levels and then kind of get back into that above 20% gross margins? I think if they can do that, and if that's the story for 2024, then the company and the shares could do very well.
Of course, I don't have a crystal ball, but I'll be surprised if Tesla's gross auto margins are much lower than they are now at any point next year. And of course, it's important to add a little bit of nuance to this discussion. It's not just about Tesla being able to increase prices again. That's one way to increase margins, but there's another way to increase margins. If you keep your prices the same, but you lower your cost to produce vehicles, your margins will also increase. And wait for it, this is a crazy idea, but it's even possible for Tesla to continue to lower the prices of their vehicles and at the same time increase their margins. How? If their cost to produce those vehicles falls at a faster rate than the reduction on the price that they're selling those vehicles to consumers. And I actually think that over the long term, this is going to be the theme of Tesla. It's important to remember that electric vehicles are very new technology. There's a huge amount of innovation yet to occur in terms of manufacturing. There are so few moving parts in an electric vehicle. And despite the incredible innovation in terms of manufacturing, huge, big swinging engineering moments from Tesla like the Gigapress, deleting literally hundreds of parts in one fell swoop, there's still a lot of innovation to go. Never mind the cost of batteries continuing to predictably decline over time. The battery, the most expensive thing in an electric vehicle by miles. All that said, the conversation around Tesla over the long term is not going to be about what is their profit margin on the hardware they're selling to consumers that has 4 wheels on it. FSD is going to become a much bigger slice of the pie. When autonomy is solved, robo-taxis will start autonomously shuttling people from point A to point B. Tesla will take a cut of every one of those fares. Tesla will ultimately end up licensing FSD to other companies as well. They've already disclosed that a large automotive manufacturer is in discussions with Tesla. They've had the conversation already. Somebody wants FSD at some point in the future. They already want to license it. Probably waiting until Tesla solves autonomy or the first robotaxi, something like that. But the point is, we know that the conversations have already happened, and even before then it was obvious. Been in my valuation model since day one. Link in description, join Patreon, investor level and above to access that. It was so obvious this would occur that it has been in my valuation model from day one, well before we heard any confirmation from Tesla that there'd been discussions. So the point here, over time, whether or not Tesla's gross automotive margins stay permanently at 18, 19%, whether they get to 20, it doesn't matter. It's all going to be a sideshow and a rounding error relative to FSD, autonomy, robotaxis, and importantly, the humanoid robot. Never mind Tesla's energy business with utterly insane gross margins. Everyone seems to be asleep on Tesla Energy because it's not really a consumer-facing product. I know they make Powerwalls, but no one really cares. The Megapacks, the utility level, grid scale energy storage products are massive money printers with obscene wait times and actually meaningfully contributing to Tesla earnings already. And these will only increase over time as well. But most folks, when they discuss Tesla and think about Tesla, go, oh, Tesla's a car company. They make cars. They only make cars. And that's the only thing we should talk or think about. Big mistake.
Then the company and the shares could do very well.
Yeah, and I like the point that Kevin brought up, licensing, right? Full self-driving, that's going to be a product they're going to be able to license. They're
Ding, 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 and a massive money printer. Like, just consider this for a moment. If Tesla has developed software, which they have, that other companies want to license, which they will, it's pretty much free money for Tesla to license this software. For those of you who don't know, in really simple terms, all Tesla needs to do is to update a few lines of code regarding camera placement, distortion on the lens, just really simple stuff, depending on where sensors are placed on other vehicles, and bam, FSD will work identically on these vehicles. Obviously, the caveat there, the computer needs to be comparable and so on. Software is the ultimate form of leverage. Unlike a vehicle, which requires assembly and physical parts, the software is the software. It's information. It can be transmitted, distributed, essentially for no cost. And let's say that Tesla, out of the kindness of their heart, and I do actually mean this, by the way, no trolling, decides to give an extremely generous deal to their so-called competition. Let's just say that Tesla will do a 50-50 split on FSD. How's this work? Well, Jim Farley of Ford says, hey, Elon, you know how I've been talking about licensing FSD? Let's do it. And here's the deal. Ford customers pay the same amount to purchase FSD or license it per month. Subscribe, whatever. Same as Tesla customers pay. Tesla takes half of that. Ford gets the other half. Now, why would Tesla do this? Better than Ford going bankrupt and no longer being in business, and therefore they're not licensing FSD. Plus, it makes the world safer, and Tesla cares about improving the world, making things better. And it heavily incentivizes Ford to take this deal, and so too other companies. From Ford's point of view, they have a level playing field with Tesla. Comparable functionality in terms of autonomy. They're able to charge the same price as Tesla to their consumers, and Ford still makes an utter fuck ton of profit on this software. $6,000. They get half the money, half the profit. Now, I don't know what the actual terms will be. Again, this would be an extremely, essentially philanthropic decision from Tesla to just go 50-50. But regardless of the final split in terms of Tesla versus Ford profit share on FSD on Ford customers, will take your automotive manufacturer. The point is, for Tesla, it's essentially free money. And where things get absolutely absurd, and I mean absurd, is when we think about what percentage of the global vehicle fleet in the future will be licensing Tesla FSD. There's roughly 2 billion vehicles on roads today, rounded down to 1 billion. Most of them aren't electric and most of them aren't covered in sensors yet. But over time, the fleet of sensor-encrusted electric vehicles capable of running Tesla FSD will grow and eventually be 100%, give or take, of the entire global vehicle fleet. That's the way to think about this over the ultra long term. What percentage of all vehicles on roads in the future will be using Tesla FSD, either because it's a Tesla vehicle or a company licensing the technology? Would it be 1% of the global fleet? What about 5? What about 10? What about 20? Could it even be higher than that? Could it be 25%, maybe even 30? The numbers get utterly ridiculous, and I do mean ridiculous. If you want to see my own projections, check out the link in the pinned comment, join Patreon at the investor level and above, and have a look at my Tesla valuation model. The profits from FSD licensing alone make every other element of Tesla's business as it stands today look like a rounding error. And I literally mean that. Gross automotive margins are last decade's news.
Already getting all the other OEMs to get on their supercharger network also.
Yeah.
So maybe, that those are high margin businesses.
Can you imagine if you told Ford and General Motors and Stellantis 19% margins? They'd be like,
Yeah.
oh my God.
I fucking died, bro. That was hilarious. He's right, by the way. Bro, that was classic. The point he's getting at here, Tesla has stunningly high automotive margins comparable to actual car companies. And if a company like Ford or General Motors was making those kind of margins, they'd be frothing.
God,
We'll
they
take
love 19% margins.
Dude, spitting some facts here. And again, let's call it 5+ years from now, definitely 10. When people look back, no one's going to even remember the discussion around Tesla gross automotive margins or concerns about EV demand or reducing prices faster than Tesla was reducing costs. It's going to be software and AI and robot, plus possibly things I can't even imagine yet. Remember when Apple was just a computer company? Actually, some of you probably weren't even alive back then. I do. Tesla will go through a comparable transformation. And the thing that very few investors seem to grasp is that Tesla, the company, in terms of the market opportunities it's going after and has a clear lead in the case of real-world AI, humanoid robots, ultimately AGI, and some of these leads are utterly unassailable. Many people think that Tesla's hyper-growth is in the past. It's behind them. But as I've said, electric vehicles, yesterday's news. It's going to be a rounding error compared to the opportunities they're going after with autonomy and the global labor market. And I do mean rounding error. Again, check out my valuation model if you want to peek. Or better yet, build your own. Either way, don't fall into the trap of obsessing over Tesla's short-term gross automotive margins and missing literally everything that actually matters. Want more content? Early access? Bunch of perks? Click the links in the pinned comment. AG1 has given me a massive, meaningful boost in energy, allowing me to do a lot more every day, including using my brain more and using my body more. I highly recommend you guys and girls check it out. It's an excellent way to fill in nutritional gaps. It's got 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, and whole food source nutrients, plus prebiotics and probiotics and digestive enzymes and adaptogens to help you deal with stress. Plus, if you click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR, you can get yourself a 1-year free supply of vitamin D3 and K2. But don't take my word for it. Here's what some of you guys and girls have to say. AG1 has changed my life. I was, as you described, treating myself like a circus, ate like trash, rarely exercised, used alcohol as a stress crutch, cannabis also. AG1 is what gave me the kick in the ass, got me back to the gym, motivated me to do more for myself, family, my business, etc. Keep doing what you do. Now, I know there's some skeptics, the same kind of people who think Elon Musk is a fraud, reading this going, what do you thought? There's no way that's possible, bro. It must be a placebo effect. Believe it or not, this is a recurring theme. If you give your body everything it needs to feel and perform its best, including having a lot more energy, you'll need ways to use that energy. For me personally, that includes more exercise, moving my body more social activity, and more cognitively demanding tasks, including producing a fuck ton of exclusive content over on Twitter and on Patreon, plus my daily YouTube uploads. The proof's in the pudding. On to another testimonial from a viewer of this channel. SMR, you asked me to provide feedback on AG1. Here it is. It has helped with mental acuity, stamina, and intestinal waste management. Can't read between the lines. It certainly helps with regularity and digestion. That's what the digestive enzymes are for. It has also dramatically reduced my cravings for sugar. You guys need to stop eating sugar. It's fucking poison. I'm 50, 5'9", and overweight, aka a fat motherfucker. I think that's a technical term for overweight, isn't it? Is it fat motherfucker or obese? I can't remember. I average 100 hours a week in the West Texas oil fields as a safety supervisor. Jesus Christ, dude. No wonder you're struggling to keep your weight under control. 100 hours a week. Brutal. It has helped me lose weight. It is not an appetite suppressant. It can help fat people suppress cravings, and motivation to be healthier is critical for changing your diet. Love you, brother. Again, this is a great point and something people really don't seem to grasp. If you have more energy, everything becomes easier. It's like turning on easy mode for life. A few years ago, before I was taking AG1, my health was trash. I was struggling to get through the day, had afternoon fatigue. The last thing I wanted to do was either use my brain or move my body. Didn't have the energy. Now, my biggest struggle every day is figuring out ways to use that energy. I'm exercising way more, doing a lot more with my friends and family, and of course, my work output has increased substantially. And you can fact check me. Check out the average length of my videos I was posting to YouTube 3 years ago. Need I say more? And one final testimonial. Love this one. Okay, here's the deal for me with this AG1 shit. I'm 41 years old and not the type to eat, drink, smoke, or sleep healthy, so I was skeptical. That being said, here's what I experienced. Day 1, meh. Day 2, afternoon fatigue was about 45 minutes late. Day 3, 0 afternoon fatigue. Day 4, 0 afternoon fatigue plus extra energy. Day 5, again, 0 afternoon fatigue plus energy, wondering, what the fuck, really? See, this is the thing, right? The results for many people are just almost too good to be true. This is the same experience I had. My afternoon fatigue just vanished out of nowhere. I'm like, wait, what the fuck? Why am I not tired in the afternoons anymore? Surely, it's not that AG1, is it? Turns out it was. Day 6 and 7, same thing. Day 8, same thing. Plus, I had the want to get things done around the house that I normally would slack off and not get done. Again, the point, extra energy, you'll need to use it, you'll find ways to use it. Day 9, 10, and 11, and today is day 12. I fucking love it. So however you managed to get me to buy it, I'm so glad you did. Thank you so much, SMR. It really changed me so far. Guys, this shit really works. Just try it. By the way, this is the reason I continue to relentlessly promote AG1. A lot of people get real fucking mad in the comments. Oh my God, snake oil salmon's sold out. Oh my God, he's a scammer. This is fraud. But constantly, I'm pretty sure everyone making these comments is also currently short Tesla stock. I'm not particularly concerned about people having a negative perception, those folks suffering from small brain syndrome, still living in my bum's basement syndrome, etc., writing mean comments, claiming AG1's a scam or it doesn't work. I mean, bro, when I get feedback like this is what keeps me going. Just try this stuff for a month, and if you don't get these results, get your money back. See, it's a literal no-brainer. It's an IQ test at this point in time. Testimonial after testimonial after testimonial like this. Get your money back if it doesn't work. Just try it for a month, and if it doesn't work, get your money back. Today's the day. It's finally time. Be like this guy who was a massive skeptic, but finally, after 1,000 promotions in a row, caved in, tried AG1, and has results like this. Head to drinkag1.com/SMR or click the link at the pinned comment, and please, let me know how you're feeling in a few weeks' time. Now, if you'll excuse me, time to put my extra energy to good use. I'll be recording some more exclusive content for Patreon and my Twitter subscribers. So click the links at the pinned comment. See you over on Twitter and or Patreon, and don't forget to grab your AG1. Love ya.